morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News, where we rate articles essential, important, or optional. You can follow along. The articles are at gaiinsights.com/articles. And please let us know what you think in comments, because we are really interested in your views, and especially if you agree or disagree with our ratings. Today, I have a wonderful regular crew, Adam, Ankaj, and John, and we will review 6 articles for you. Ankaj, if you could please start with the first one, that would be great.
Thanks, Luda. So the first one comes from HBR, and it talks about a systematic approach to experimenting with Gen AI.
Yes, a pretty thoughtful article. What did you think about this, John?
Yeah, I was on the fence between optional and important on this one. I gave it an important. The thing that drives me nuts about articles like this is like you call it experimentation. Strategic learning, ecosystem experimentation. And they just slot in a bunch of stuff into what seems to me a pretty straightforward thing that any good management practices, which is, hey, you have a new area, you pick some areas of high, potential use, and you implement, and, if it works, you figure out why. If it doesn't work, you figure out why. And, so, and in a certain sense, it's, I don't know.
So, John, could you capture, like in one sentence, what it's about?
What's that?
Could you capture the main point of this?
Yeah, the main thing is to basically do experiments around how you can use AI in different parts of the organization, the factory, and so forth. There aren't any particular criteria for domains. Like when we wrote our WINS article ages ago, we actually, said, okay, well, these areas are more likely to be useful. It's just, it basically has a number of decent case studies. I don't see any framework for selection and scaling, and I don't see any kind of framework for what happens as you go from experiment to production. So it just seemed like a bunch of things gathered together with a bunch of common sense around, think and measure. What can I tell you?
Yeah, but the main point is, it's not a pilot, it's experimentation, it's not A/B testing. And so it's something in between that you need to really pay attention to, right? It's just, I agree with you, but it's an interesting point.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm getting old and cranky, but, when common sense is packaged up in fancy language, it just really annoys me.
I see. So. Adam, what did you think?
Yeah, I'll make the case for important, and ironically, in many ways, it's exactly because of what John's saying. It is common sense, and it's from Harvard Business Review. In my own organization right now, we're trying to embrace and encourage more of this exact mindset. And I think there are probably a lot of organizations out there that could use this. In honor of Tim, who's not here with us today, but the lower back pocket maybe. This is an article that's worth people being aware of, because if they're trying to push for justification for why they should be embracing experimentation within Gen AI adoption at their org, this is actually a pretty good article to have on hand.
Okay. And I was thinking, John, that what their main point is experimentation, okay, but they want to make it into a rigorous discipline. They don't provide any metrics, granted, but as you said, any good manager can create metrics for their own organization. But the fact that they're pushing it as a discipline or presenting it as more of a discipline is a worthy point. Ankaj, what did you think?
I'm with Adam here, Luda. I think this is an important article. So we have been discussing about this area for so long now that we feel something like this might be optional. But for organizations who are just starting out with experimenting with these models and tools, I think this is an important read.
Okay, Paul, we're going important. What was your view? Important it is. Okay, let's proceed to the...
My only footnote is, isn't repackaging a common sense the lifeblood of management consulting for the last 30 years?
management
Well,
consulting.
that's a quote. That's a good quote.
Management consulting, but not management, the management academy, right? You're supposed to come up with decent new stuff.
Correct.
I mean, look, Stefan Tomke about 20 years ago wrote a great book on experimentation. Miles Snow in the 70s wrote a book about experimentation and, value seeking is one of the three strategic types or three strategic actions of a management team. I mean, these people are not only rediscovering the, old stuff, but they're not even reporting it well. It's like, ugh, give me a break. Anyway.
Yeah,
Adam, he's not a cranky old man, though. That's important to know.
Definitely not
that's a
that.
good point, John. There are many books on discipline of
No, but in all seriousness, there are unique things here that they just touch on a little bit. Like the idea that what's new is that in an experiment, these things now have at least three vectors of understanding. First is a vector of how it does the task. Then it's how the task changes as you implement it. And then there's the fact that the thing itself can explain itself to you and everyone else using it. Those are fundamentally different things in the experimental process that they barely highlight. So they go back to generic stuff when in fact they have differentiated important things to learn right in front of you. So that's my real frustration. And they're supposed to be academics. I mean, give me a break. Well, there's two folks from Siemens and one person, whatever. But, the Germans are usually good at this stuff. I mean, I go over there, they call me a doctor. It's great. Anyway.
Okay, so read this article, add those differentiated parameters or vectors from what John just said and make it an important. Important it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the next one comes from Lenny's newsletter, and it is about how AI tools are over-delivering.
Another survey, 1,750 respondents in the software or product development software type of space. Okay, what did you think about this, Adam?
Yeah, I gave this an important overall. I think there's probably something of value to take away from this for everyone in terms of as you go through the various jobs, product manager, designer, founders, but certainly in enterprise, it's probably a little less relevant. This really seems geared towards software. A bunch of good insights in there, some powerful statistics, which are right at the top of the article, and it's fairly well written. The reason I probably wouldn't say it's essential is that I have to consider the source, right? And so this guy Lenny, he claims over 1 million subscribers on this email list. So to find 1,750 people within his ecosystem to survey probably isn't that difficult, but you also have to consider the audience that he's surveying from, right? And then on top of that, he's former product at Airbnb, and he's writing the article with the AI guy from Figma. So given that, I'd probably say it's not essential. Also given that it's more of a software and small startup kind of focus over enterprise, but certainly some important insights to take away from it.
Okay, important from Adam. What did you think, John?
Yeah, I gave it important as well. I thought it was nice in terms of, the combination of, the statistics as well as this notion of productivity of tech workers. I think that a lot of people, look at, this is amazing when you think about people talk about AI bubble and stuff, but as Paul's pointed out, there's no adoption bubble. Just think about this for a second. 55% of respondents say AI has exceeded their expectations, and almost 70% say it's improving the quality of their work. This is the software engineers, they're generally grumpy and, negative people is my experience with them. And, here you've got just an amazing, upside on this. And of course there's downside, they can imagine that, you can do these bad things with this, but, it's, and I think it also goes through, the kinds of stuff, writing what it does at the task level for different types of jobs and product managers. It's hit hard. So I think it's a lovely compendium. I might even make it essential, because it's fact-based, it's specific, and it's outcome focused.
I also liked how it was presented. It's a very easy read. Ankash, if you can scroll, those are the takeaways, but scroll to one of the graphics. It's very clearly makes a message through these graphics without necessarily reading the whole article. And it goes on like this, and it says, okay, here's a program manager. This is how their jobs are changing.
Luda, in the article it goes into, which I find insightful as well, on some of these, the things that AI is not doing, right? Like the roadmap ideas.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting things to take away from what the different roles are using AI for or not using it.
Exactly. So it's a very insightful view. Granted, it's only into the software space, and that's what I think why it's important, was essential. But in the software space, this is quite essential, I think. What did you think, Ankash?
Luda, I think this is an essential read just for the same reason that everybody is highlighting. This is from the software space. I read Lenny's newsletter on a regular basis. Most of the readers are product managers, coders, designers from these different AI startups that are out there. And those are the people who are experimenting more with these set of tools. And I think all the enterprises can take inspiration from this one, that, okay, these are the things that people who are at the top in this particular field, they are doing this stuff. And this is what we can do with this as well. So I think from that perspective, an essential read.
Okay, I'm actually siding with essential, guys, because I think it's very, it's an insightful compendium of various things that I into this specific area. Paul, agree, disagree?
I agree, Luda. I've already forwarded it 4 times to people, so I think the forwardability. I think Adam's enthusiasm for it is important to note. And third thing I would add is, I mean, we've gotten lots of different questions on N8N and LangDoc, and what kind of products. I think this is yet another indication that N8N is really gaining some traction out there, which we're seeing anecdotally through a lot of customers.
And that actually means that the agents will start ramping, because N8N is really the agent tool more so. Okay, great. Then make it essential. Let's proceed to the next.
And Luda, last thing I want to highlight what Adam talked about was a task breakdown. So we've talked about coding being the sweet spot of the sweet spot. So from AI leader, looking at that chart, Adam, it talks about the breakdown of tasks that work well and don't work well. You can think they're moving over to sales, to customer service, to compliance, to finance. So every department's going to have a similar breakdown.
Thinking, Paul, you could almost take this index and use it against process mapping to identify the places where you could apply AI within your business processes.
I think the work Helix stuff that Brynjolfsson and Andy McAfee have out of Stanford, I think, tries to do that. I think what's interesting here is that because so few people read any business history or understand like what the evolution of stuff is. The current design in terms of tasks, like, okay, when you say finance, what's in marketing, all that other stuff, those buckets need to be developed over time. I would say to you that AI is going to completely change those buckets, right? Because we're going to reconfigure down at the task level. We're going to inductively look at behavior. Paul shared something from ChatGPT about reflecting on what the robot does for him in what areas and what kind of work he's doing. So it's an inductive look at work. And I think that we're going to have this deductive, hey, how do we build it? Inductive, and then we're going to look at behavior over time. And then we're going to reorganize work around that stuff. And then with agentic stuff, some of that will get allocated completely to humans. Some of it will be dialogue, and some of it will be autonomy. So you'll take stuff that used to be in a bureaucratic process, and it'll now sit in a market. That market may be inside the organization or outside. So I think we're going to see a complete reconfiguration of work and responsibilities. That's why I think AI is about the reinvention of management. It's not just not just improving the work.
And John, just to riff on that one forward, and it's going to start breaking down the traditional organizational boundaries. And we've already seen it in Alden's usage, where he's seen customer support on their custom GPT AI now saying, "Oh, you're interested in it? Here's a link to set up a call with a sales rep."
Right, but we have to remember. We have to remember that many of those functions that we think of as as nouns, those nouns were created by processes that annealed around the nature of the technology and the customer need. And so we're back down at the redesign at the very fundamental level, I believe, in the context of this. It's going to be dynamic for a while because at least two things, these things are moving so quickly in terms of how much of the world they can eat. And then the fact that you have autonomy, a lot of organization and management design is who gets to make decisions and who's got who makes sense of the world, who evaluates, who makes decisions. That's a lot of the core of organization design and responsibility, and that's up in the air right now.
Yep, totally. Okay, essential it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the next one comes from OpenAI, and it is titled Continuously Hardening ChatGPT Atlas Against Prompt Injection Attacks.
Yes. This is actually to be expected because it was reported to be quite leaky, and now OpenAI is talking about fixing the leaks. What did you think, Pankaj?
I think, Luda, this is an optional read. I think we discussed last month about a few other browsers which are prone to prompt injection attacks. So the ChatGPT Atlas is no different. It is also vulnerable to these attacks, and OpenAI is just doing some automated red teaming, and they have shipped a new security update. So this is regarding that. So I think an optional read for an AI leader.
Okay, an optional from Pankaj. Adam?
Agreed.
Okay. John, Paul?
Optional, but about freaking time. I mean, we've got multiple customers who have rolled out business or enterprise. And Adam, at least as a few weeks ago, the Atlas was turned on automatically and pushed out to people here. And we had one company they aren't being alerted to it. No one's their CISO wasn't aware of it, compliance wasn't aware of it, and it's driving without a seatbelt and without a break. And a shame on OpenAI for shipping recklessly. And this is a reckless ship that I think could damage their brain had they actually had a lot more publicity on tax. So hopefully they'll get this thing fixed. But
Yeah,
you only need to shoot your foot 3 or 4. You only need to shoot yourself in the foot 3 or 4 times. Everyone now assume everything that comes out of your software factory has not been tested at all for security. And JP Morgan and all your high-profile customers start really slowing down your adoption of it.
Yep, totally. And I didn't realize that the toggle was on, that it was an automatic on. That's quite bad. Yep. Okay. All right. John, we're going optional. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer important, because if you look at the use statistics, OpenAI is so far up there, and this notion of integration with the browser, I think Google's going to win that thing because of their architecture of when you launch agents, it now opens a tab, which I think is a beautiful way to think about it in terms of how people interact. But I'd give it important, but I can live with optional.
Yeah, we are going optional. Optional it is. It's something that they should have done at the very beginning. And this is like, when did Atlas was released? Some time ago, and they're now coming over with this. So this is like way too late, I think.
Adam, this is a hot fix that came 60 days late.
Exactly.
The Sev 1 hot fix that comes out 60 days late.
Yeah, this is really not good. Okay, optional. Let's proceed to the next one.
Paul,
the next one comes from. Go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say, Paul, you're not saying that the leaders in Silicon Valley are reckless, are you?
I'm absolutely saying they're reckless. Actually, my reckless by a core competency. I mean, it's part of the gestalt and the game plan. But I think there's semi-reckless, like stealing everyone's IP and lying about it. I think there's another thing, being reckless when you actually have material damage to your reputation on something that can really get out and cause damage. I mean, heaven forbid CNN does, the prompt injection at JP Morgan, one of the top customers here, because of Atlas rollout.
You got to love it. The Trump administration is going to give Musk about 350 acres of public land because he's so obviously overstepping any safety and environmental stuff in his Texas facility. So now they're just going to give him a bigger area to pollute. There you go.
Okay. Let's proceed to the next one. Pankaj.
The next one comes from Anthropic, and it's about Claude working in your browser.
Yes, I believe this is John. John, what did you think about this?
Yeah, I was going to give this an important, the notion of, having Claude in your browser, and just, Claude is obviously such an important area for commercial and for software development. It being leading in terms of, at least in some, revenue things, about having enterprise penetration, and clearly developers prefer Claude. And so this notion of being able to bring it down into the browser, I think it's an important new ad. Again, product announcement, usually don't like pushing those up that much, but when we're talking about leaders in important categories, and software obviously being the most important category right now for generative AI, I give it an important.
Okay, important from John. I know, Adam, you have tried it. We were talking about it before the show. Please tell us what you tried.
Yeah, so this is I'd agree it's important. What's really going on here is it's not just it's in your browser, because there's lots of, I guess, chats that are sort of inline. They can even be context based about what's on the screen, but this is absolute computer use within your browser. It's taking screenshots, it's clicking buttons, it's navigating. Just as an experiment, I have a list on X of users that I follow, and I just said, go find this list and like and comment on the most recent posts, and just sat there and watched as it navigated through my X, found the page, clicked them open, and I gave it some instruction around, make it a brief post and don't put emojis or whatever. But I was literally watching it type comments and hit reply. So this is literally Claude in computer use in the browser, and it's a pretty big deal, but it's also one of many capabilities out there at the moment. I wouldn't say it's essential.
But do you think, I'm not sure I'm agreeing with you. Do you think this is now the indication of maturation, that this is, or you think this is at par with other capabilities from other vendors?
It's probably a little bit of an evolution. The reality is you still have to integrate it into business process, and you still have to think. I mean, for an individual, yeah, it's great. Maybe for a startup or for someone who's trying to do something on their own, it's great. For in enterprise, are you going to just put this on your corporate PC and let it start taking over and sending emails for you? No way.
No.
Right. So it's definitely, I'd say, a big step forward, but it's in terms of enterprise Gen AI adoption, it's not something that's quite there yet.
Okay, so two importance, Ankaj.
I was important on this as well, Luda.
Okay, we're all going important on this one. Anything
Sure.
to add?
Yeah, and I think this is a good example of a micro feature that a vendor's out that Chrome will catch up on in next year. But I think it gives the AI leader a good direction of where the stuff's going. And at Adam, the stuff like you're talking, this kind of selfing, human watching the agent do work, which is very similar to the AI mode in ChatGPT, is really crude right now. But boy, that's just going to get better. It's really powerful, and the ability to be able to stop it at any point in time. It's like you're watching the intern, you're watching the robots work.
Okay, so let's proceed to the next one. Important this one is, and we have two more, and we have 7 minutes. So let's be mindful of that. Go ahead, Ankaj.
Okay, the next one comes from Minimax, and they have launched Minimax 2.1.
All right, Adam, what did you think about this one? This is one of the China's AI tigers. This is a small company raised reportedly about a billion plus, and also rumored to go IPO soon. They're preparing. So, and they're doing open source models that are actually very performant. Adam, sorry.
Yeah, open source model, very performant. It's incremental change in the space. The real big deal with these models is that a lot of the programming models are really trained on one language or on a couple languages. And this one is multi-language programming. So it's really fine-tuned for that capability. This is really version 2.1. So it's literally a step upgrade from version 2, a little more performant, a little better at some longer tasks, but optional news.
Okay, optional from Adam. Ankaj?
Optional from me as well, Luda. I think all these announcements we have seen, GLM yesterday, DeepSeek before that, Minimax this one. I think we will see a lot more adoption of these in 2026. So interesting from that perspective, but optional announcement.
Okay. So we are going optional. John, Paul? Yeah, okay. Optional it is. It's an incremental step on a great model that sounds like in terms of users is growing like crazy. Okay, optional, but not necessarily in the US, I think. All right, next one, Ankaj.
Okay, the next one comes from AWS, and it's a case study about how dlocal automated compliance reviews using Amazon Quick Automate.
Yes, Ankaj, what was your take on this one?
I was optional on this one, Luda. So what dlocal is doing is they are using Amazon Quick Automate to run merchant website compliance checks. Earlier, they were using a mix of GenAI and their analyst, but that was not working well. So they came to Amazon, and Amazon suggested Quick Automate, and now it's a combination of old automation plus some GenAI stuff. So the system, it goes through vendor websites, it captures evidence, including screenshots, and produces an outcome if there are any risky cases. They say that 75% of website reviews were completed by this tool, but there's not a lot of GenAI in here compared to, let's say, other use cases that we have discussed. It's more of, let's say, 75% normal automation and 25% GenAI. So for that reason, I was optional.
Okay. Optional from Ankaj. John? I think you're on mute. Optional. Okay. Adam, agree?
Yeah, agreed. A bit disappointing from Amazon. We hold them to a pretty high standard now, though.
Yeah, I agree. Well, all three pieces are there: the problem statement, how they implemented it, and results. It's just the area is also very good. The one that they focused on. Just as Ankaj said.
I don't know. I feel like that,
Yeah.
like maybe the impact or something. I just don't get enough of a sense of
that was important.
making,
Yeah, it was not hot hitting. Yeah. Okay. Optional it is. Paul, okay?
Yes, optional.
Optional. All right. So as we're preparing the scorecard announcements, we are not going to be on tomorrow and Friday, but other announcements, Paul, John.
That's correct. Yes, we're off Thursday and Friday, and Learning Lab is canceled on Monday. So everyone get some rest and enjoy the U.S. holiday.
All right. Let's show the scorecard. We have 1 essential, 2 importance, and 3 optionals.
And Luda, I've got one other item. Adam, can you share how many chats you did last year in ChatGPT per your?
Yeah, just in my personal account, it was close to 2,000. So that's six a day on average, basically. Yeah. But as I replied on your thread there, Paul, that doesn't include my GAI Insights Enterprise account, or Claude, or Grok, or Copilot, or Gemini. Yeah.
So it's still breathtaking, but it's just showing what a power user, what a superpower user looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing emerge from a bunch of these surveys and stuff is, AI as thought partner and what that means. And, I think we're just discovering what that is. And right now we're in dialogue. I think we're going to go to multi-log and, anyway.
Okay. Well, happy holidays, everyone. Thank you, analysts. This is great. Thank you, all the participants, our and guest reviewers, Ram, Vivek, Ashish, and we will see you on Monday. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.